Alright, it is pre-release weekend for Zendikar Rising, and we have the prices all fluctuating right now, but they seem to be a little bit stable, so I wanted to go over the top 10 most expensive cards here in Zendikar Rising. And spoiler alert, they're all mythics. Yes, every single card in the top 10 is a mythic, which is not very good for the expected value of the set because the more expensive you have in rares, the more higher prices in rares, usually that actually ends up being a better EV box total. And none of the dual flip lands that everyone thought was going to be great are into the top 10. So, I mean, maybe it's a bit of, pressure being put on those cards to perform, and it's pre-release weekend. There's not a lot of pre-releases happening inside stores, but nonetheless, we're going to go over the top 10, starting here with Seagate Stormcaller, which right now is sitting at about $10 to $9 on the market. Now, this is the one that, to me, reminds me a lot of Mattcaster Mage. It's a 2-1 for 2 that lets you copy an instant sorcery spell with mana cost 2 or less. Scourge of the Skyclaves right now is around $9 to $10 as well. And this is the one that people are talking about putting in the Death Shadow deck because its life total is minus the player's life total. So it's a little similar, but I actually think Death Shadow is a better card. It's a 1 mana, minus 13, obviously. But I think you're going to get a better payoff with that, personally. But, again, I play Modern, so maybe this could be put in another deck. Aside from Modern, I'm sure it'll see some play. Leeline Tyrant is our next card. It's a dragon creature, red, flying. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. When Leeline Tyrant dies, you may pay any amount of red mana. When you do, it deals that much damage to any target. So that is really great. Any sort of red constructed burn decks, or even just decks in general that are going to be in Commander. Dragons are one of the most expensive tribes to play, but I think this card actually is a very, very useful addition to any sort of red Commander deck, specifically Dragon Tribal. And we have Nissa. So this is the only Planeswalker that's actually on this, so it's the most expensive Planeswalker. It is between $12 and $13 right now on the market. And this one's a bit of a surprise. I actually thought Jace was going to be the most expensive Planeswalker coming in, but it actually looks like Nissa, which I guess is fitting because the set is based around Zendikar, which is her plane. Forsaken Monument is our next card. It's a legendary artifact for 5 mana. It is sitting at $12 to $13. Turntimber Symbiosis. So this is one of the flip cards that actually turns into a forest as well. So this sorcery, it's look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. If that card has converted mana cost 3 or less, it enters the battlefield with 3 additional +1/+1 counters on it. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in any random order. That is a very powerful effect, especially in Commander. I mean, for 7 mana, maybe you could still see it in Standard, depending on the meta. But, green, there's a lot of ramping and, a lot of mana dorks, so it's possible to see it show up in Standard. Morog, Fury of Okum. So this is a Minotaur Warrior creature, red legendary creature. It's sitting at $13 to $14 on the market right now. Aishaya, Soul of the Wild. This is a card that's really fitting for just the whole theme of Zendikar. Right now it's sitting at $14 to $16, and it is a mythic, obviously, along with all the cards on this list. Ancient Green Warden. This is another green creature. It's sitting between right now at $16 to $17. It's an elemental creature, 5/7 reach. You may play land cards from your graveyard. It's a similar effect to Crucible of Worlds. So it's basically Crucible Worlds on a stick, quite a big stick at that. If a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. And the most expensive card in the set, and the one that's getting most Commander players excited, Lithoform Engine. It reminds me a lot of Paradox Engine. I don't think it's quite as powerful, but for 2 and tap, copy target activated or triggered ability you control, you may choose new targets for the copy. 3, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control, you may choose new targets for this copy. And 4, tap, copy target permanent spell you control. That last ability is really, really powerful. So what's good about this card is obviously because it's an artifact, it can fit in any Commander deck, and you're tapping colorless mana. So, you're paying colorless mana and tapping it, so it's very useful for any deck, but obviously any sort of Storm deck specifically would benefit very well from this. But either way, incredible card, and it's pretty obvious why it's going to be the most expensive card. But again, it's a commander card, and the last couple sets that we've seen for Magic the Gathering have been very commander heavy in terms of like good staples that are going to be put into decks there. We're not really seeing a lot of cards that you would ever see going into Modern, but Modern, again, in my opinion right now, sadly, is a dying format. So, what do you guys think? Are you shocked to see that every single one of these cards are mythics? Let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to read them, and I'll see you again in the next video.